Most people think that karma is just about our actions. But here is the truth. Karma begins before we even act. It starts in the mind, in the silent conversations we have with ourselves. The Bhagavad Gita says, "A man's own nature shapes his action, and even the wise act according to their nature." This is why two people can perform the same outward actions, yet create completely different karmic results, because their intention is different. So why intention comes first? From my own experience, the most important lesson I've learned about karma is this: resolve your inner dialogue before you act. Yes, there are times when life forces us into situations we do not want, the jobs we dislike, the conversations we would rather avoid. In such cases, we can't always change the action immediately, but we can notice how we feel inside. There's one simple practice. When you sense an inner conflict, for example, that you acted politely outside but felt heavy inside, at that moment you wouldn't have done anything, but you noticed, right? So when you notice yourself doing such things which is conflicting your personality, it's better to write it down somewhere so that you can ponder over it. And then once you write it down, ask yourself, what was I feeling? Why did I act differently from what I felt? Now this reflection is called Swadhyaya in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. It's called self-study or contemplation. Maharishi Patanjali placed it as a key part of the spiritual path, because without inner clarity, even meditation becomes a huge struggle. Now let's talk about guilt and karma. Something many of us carry: guilt. Guilt is heavy because it comes from believing that I alone am the doer and I alone must suffer the results. But that is not the truth. It's not the full truth. When you detach from outcomes and dedicate your actions to something bigger or something higher, whether you call it God, the universe, or simply your own higher self, guilt doesn't really stay. Why? Because you no longer see yourself as the one in control of everything. And honestly, when we let go of the control around us and when we just let things be, accept them for whatever they are, there is a wisdom which develops inside of us. Guilt definitely locks you in the past, but when you understand it, contemplate upon it, give it time, it frees you. Think of it this way: if you act with awareness and sincerity and then release the result, you do not need to hold guilt at all. Maybe let me clarify it a little bit. Let's say a person has done something wrong in the past and has a lot of guilt around it. And when the person thinks about the past, instead of learning from it and contemplating about it from a bigger perspective, they attach themselves to the past actions and keeps themselves in the guilt all the time. Instead of this, I would really recommend that you shift your awareness from guilt to something that you can learn from it. Why is the guilt coming? Because if you will be in this state of mind where you're having a lot of guilt, again, it's not gonna help you in growing in your path. Rise above guilt and try to make changes in your life which will avoid guilt in future. Now we'll talk about the path to neutral karma. As Buddha also suggests that you need to neutralize your good as well as bad karmas. Because karma is something that will always produce outcomes. It can either be pleasant or it can be unpleasant. And the state of pleasantness, unpleasantness will always be there as long as we are attached to the outcomes. So it's better that we understand why we are attached to the outcomes. So we need to understand by going into the roots of our actions and dissolve the roots itself. But how do we dissolve the roots? It is possible. One way is by dedicating your every thought and action to the divine, the higher power, the God within, whatever name you give it. That's one way of doing it. Otherwise, you can just go back to those events which have always disturbed you in life, and one by one just try to contemplate upon them and surrender them to God. Because we cannot go into past and change our past. All we can do is accept the past as it is, and if there is any negative residue that we're carrying from there, we can just bring it to the front and offer them to God and ask for His help. So surrendering is something which will help you neutralize your past karmas, and for the future you can just develop your awareness to be more present and do your duty without getting attached to the outcomes. And that is only possible when you have love for God, when you have made a lot of connection with God, and when you act without attachment to results, neither clinging to good karmas and nor fearing the bad karma. You reach a state the Gita calls Yoga Karmasu Kausalam, which means yoga is skill in action. Yoga is the union with God. A yogi's ideal state is neutrality, free from the pull of opposites. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about is starting fresh. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past or how long you have been stuck in a habit. You can always start today, and that is the beauty of life. That is the beauty of your soul power. If you can understand that your soul is pure awareness, it never dies, you can choose to not cling yourself to the body. And if it all seems a little difficult, I would suggest that you choose just one inner pattern to transform. Maybe anger, maybe self-criticism, or maybe guilt, or anything that you want to really get rid of. And each time you notice it, apply a new positive pattern and celebrate every small victory. Do not demand perfection from yourself. You have taken lifetimes to reach this moment, the personality you are today. It'll take time for you to change, and if you really want to change, the desire is so much that you really want to change, nothing in this universe can stop you. The moment you plant even one seed of positive intention with a lot of feeling, the universe it supports you in your journey. And that is the beauty of this path. The rewards come not only at the end, but at every step. So those people who think karma is like a life sentence, no, it's just a tool. One that can either bind us, and also it can free us. If you begin with pure intention, free yourself from guilt, and also dedicate every step, every action, every intention to something higher, your life becomes lighter, more free. I hope this video helped you somewhere. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching.